Coffee is good with cream, but better when it's black. Welcome back to Bad Movies Rule, the worst movie podcast ever recorded. And today we're going back to 1994 to talk about a underappreciated comedy called A Low Down Dirty Shame. Let's go.
Your delivery of that line was way, way more man's man.
If you sensed a little hesitation there in the intro, it's only because I thought to call it a comedy action movie for a second. And then I thought, no, this is more of a comedy. So we're just going to stick with that.
With some action.
Some action sprinkled in.
Some good action.
Yeah,
Yes. I thought this was an action movie with some comedy sprinkled in.
Okay, well, we'll
talk about that.
Separate all of that out, and we'll perform an autopsy right here.
The sprinkles from the action.
That's right. Right on this table, we're going to do an autopsy on shame.
Fantastic.
Okay.
I have a question.
It's going to get messy. Yes.
What does this cost to make?
This was
These are the informations I never look up.
$10 million budget.
So it made money.
Yeah, it made $29 million, so it was a modest success.
Right.
This is not why the box office. Yeah,
this
that it's on here.
This has a 0%. That
yeah, look at you just jumping all over the vitals that we normally give out in a specific order. But we're just going to roll with it today.
I was so surprised.
But he has, as Clint told you, it's a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. The dreaded 0%, but it's got, here's the thing, a 71% audience score.
Right.
So it's rare that you see such a
huge.
It was
huge
4.5 out of 5 on Amazon.
Is it really?
For the users, yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't check that rating.
Did somebody just like delete all the all the info on that?
Yeah.
And just
somebody at Amazon tripped and hit their keyboard and deleted all the 1-star reviews.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And that person was Keenan Ivory Williams. He works at Amazon now, apparently. Yeah, so joining us this morning is Mr. Clint Bush and Mr. Mel Vandy and Joseph Goratowski. How you guys doing this morning? Good?
I'm supposed to be Bob.
You are.
Yeah,
well, Bob was supposed to be here. In fact, Bob drafted this movie, and he's not even here.
Do I have to punch Joe now instead of Bob?
No, but what we could do is just encourage people to send Bob some hate mail.
Send Joe some hate mail today.
Joe's a hero today for swooping in on his...
He's taking Bob's spot, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
So I'll have to be Bob. I'll try to channel Bob as much as
What are you saying, that an empty chair would have been better?
The Bob Hauser Award. The empty chair full of dirt.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are... How's the shoe store going, Mel?
It's good, but speaking of a dirty shame and black coffee, this coffee is a shame. It's absolutely horrible. We need to up the coffee budget.
That's because we didn't get Burlington Coffee Company's coffee.
Burlington Coffee Company?
Right.
Which
tell me more about it.
We do not have a sponsorship from, but they also own the building that we use the studio in.
You guys both walked through the door with enemy coffee and are complaining about the quality.
You walked right past
where the free coffee sits.
You walked right past Bevan roasting coffee.
Literally roasting coffee downstairs this morning.
It smelled phenomenal.
It did.
And you came in with
McDonald's.
With McDonald's coffee. Heathens. All right.
Amazing.
So just want to say real quick before we jump in, thank you to everyone who's listening. If you could do me a big favor right now, real quick, just pause the show. But I mean, come back to it. Don't pause it and forget about it. Pause it. Rate us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Spotify lets you give ratings now. Give us a 5-star if you think that, we're worthy of it. If you don't and you want to give us a crappy review, I totally understand. 100%. I listen to the show too. But don't rate us low on the apps. That hurts us. If you could just send that 1-star review in an email, we would love to read that on the show. So that's thisshowIstrash@gmail.com is where you can send those. We would greatly appreciate you helping us out and telling your friends. Rating us on those apps is really a great way to spread the word about the show.
I thought the 1-star was good, so I wonder if I can re-rate it.
You were that one person that gave us 1 star?
We're number 1, right?
If only that's how that worked. No.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. Also, if you want to get some Bad Movies Rule merch, we have a merch run available too. So if you head over to our friends at TeePublic, search Bad Movies Rule, you'll see a whole host of options come up, and you can wear your very own Bad Movies Rule swag, as Mr. Bush is doing this morning. I should have worn mine now. I feel bad about it.
Yeah, They make tent-sized T-shirts. It's amazing. The 5X fits fantastic.
That's right. They go all the way up to 5X. So go for it. All right. So I would say let's do the vitals, but this is going to be very quick, not only because we've already given budget and rating information for this movie, and the reason it's on Bad Movies Rules, not because it didn't do well at the box office, but because it's literally sitting at 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. But the rest of it's going to be pretty quick because it was written and directed by the same guy.
And starred.
And starred. So he did everything. That's the vitals. It's Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Renaissance man.
That's right. That's right. And there were a few other people in this movie. Jada Pinkett was in it. This is pre-Will Smith, Jada Pinkett. Charles S. Dutton and Andrew Divoff all kind of round out the cast. Did any of you ever see the movie I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker?
Yes.
I remember seeing it.
Okay. I have never seen it, but this was his second film a few years after he did that. Was like late 80s. And this was also Keenan Ivory Wayans, and now this was his second go around. So was that a good movie? I mean, it's more of a spoof, was it?
It was no Homie D Clown.
Okay. Obviously, he's more well known for In Living Color.
Right.
Right. Okay. Well, as you sit here now, I'm interested to see what, A, if you guys had ever seen this movie before, and B, what kind of your first impressions were of the movie. Like, don't necessarily give away what you're going to decide at the end, but the first time you watched it, as you were sitting down, tell me what you thought of the movie as you started to get into it. Mel.
I saw this movie as a kid. This movie was decent when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember I was trying to remember what channel it was on, but it was one of those movies that was always on.
I'm going to go take a bet on this. It was BET.
Well, that's what it is now. It actually ran like when I Googled it the other day, it was like, shows the show times on BET. It was like four times that day it was going to be on. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Joseph, was this your first time ever seeing it?
First time ever seen it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I just felt like I needed a trope button.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just was
or a
going,
90s alarm.
Yeah, 90s alarm with trope buttons. Just like, oh, I've seen that before. That's the same thing, but it's still entertaining.
If you were gonna have a 90s alarm, what would the alarm sound from a 90s alarm be?
This whole movie.
Would just play the shame?
The entire movie.
I was thinking about this because I was like thinking the same thing as I was watching it, and I thought it would just be the bass line from "Everybody Dance Now" would be what the 90s alarm would. That's what I'm saying. Right?
Dance now.
Yeah,
I buy that.
All right, so Mr. Bush.
Gotta say, if you would have asked me when we drafted this, I've seen that. I haven't seen this. I watched it for the first time last night. Good movie. I mean, well, I'm sorry, we're not supposed to give it away.
No, it's okay.
I enjoyed it. I remember thinking the whole time, I was like, man, the camera work and everything is really nice in this thing. I was expecting it to be kind of trashy, and I don't think I didn't feel that.
So you don't think it should be sitting at a 0%?
No, I think that's an oversight. Something happened somewhere.
Okay.
That can't be true.
Yeah, I'll say this. I remembered enjoying it in '94. This is a movie that I saw then and not since. Right, wide gulf in between seeing this movie. Keenan's a comedian, right?
Yes.
He's from In Living Color, so the guy can write jokes. That wasn't my issue with the film. I thought a lot of the comedy worked. The problem is that when you're making a crime movie, even if it's just to serve as the framework from which you hang jokes on,
right.
Like the crime element story has got to be compelling in some way. And so I felt like there were big chunks of the movie where no forward progress was being made on the crime plot. And it was like, let's spend 10 minutes talking about boxing and soap operas. And
so I was going to say the whole soap opera thing.
Which
like, okay.
Were funny jokes, but it was just like, oh, let's write this 5-minute bit, which he's good at doing. But it's also supposed to be a crime movie too. So, but I felt positive about it still.
Yes.
You know,
I think the premise of the crime is compelling, but the actual,
execution
the getting there. Yeah.
I felt like it was like the tale of two movies for me. It was like the first half of the movie was so much worse than the second half of the movie, where it got really good for me personally. Okay. And so if that means that the second half of this episode is probably going to be much better than the first half.
Yeah.
So stick around. Don't drop out early on us here. It's going to be a wild ride going through a low down. Dirty shame. It is.
I thought it was turned up.
Turned up?
It's going to both. You're going to get turned, and he's going to turn it up.
Okay.
At the same time.
And Mel get crunked. Mel, you know what getting crunked means?
Turned down for what?
So he's going to get turned down for what? You're going to get turned, and he's going to turn it up.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
That actually worked out.
That's perfect. All right, let's jump into the plot here, boys. Just to give the people at home an overview, okay? This is the back of the box overview, so if you haven't seen it, you understand kind of what's happening.
Cereal box there.
Yeah, but Shame is the name of Keenan Ivory Wayans' main character, which is the reason it's called the Low Down Dirty Shame. And he used to be a cop, but
hold on 1 second.
Yes.
That's something that's bothering the ever-loving crap out of me. So he's sitting there reminiscing with his LAPD detective badge.
yeah, wasn't it nice for him to go through that box of plot elements that he had under his bed for us?
Right.
That was nice.
But there's a couple of huge plot holes there. So he's got his LAPD badge, and obviously, he was an LAPD detective because he meets with the lieutenant later.
And we get a 10-second freeze frame of the badge.
Yeah.
So we really know.
And we also get the news article that talks about he was a DEA agent.
Oh, all right. So I just assumed he was a cop.
But then it was also talking about a failed LAPD raid in Mexico.
Right. From what I gathered,
it doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's true. Again, less attention was paid to this than the comedy aspects of the movie. But in short, whether he was DEA or LA, it seemed like he was a cop or an agent or something. Right. And then this bust having to do with this Mendoza guy.
Yes, the LAPD bust in Mexico. The LAPD raid.
Now, I know as a shoe salesman, you're an expert on police procedure. And so this is why I'm happy that you're here. This is why I'm happy that you're here.
A lot of miles in these shoes.
That's what I'm saying. What you're saying is the LAPD does not carry out raids in Mexico, I'm guessing?
Well, maybe that's part of why the raid went south.
He sells a lot of shoes.
The raid did go south, literally.
It did.
Yeah, maybe the LAPD just shouldn't have been doing that. I don't know.
LA being the key word.
Got it. They're supposed to police Los Angeles, not Tijuana.
Right.
Okay, that's fair.
You ever been to Tijuana?
No. But long story short, there was something went south with this raid and he lost his job, right? And so Shame is no longer an agent or cop, and now he's a PI.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, that's essentially
He is Dog the Bounty Hunter.
where we are now as we start this
Minus the mullet.
movie.
And
Okay.
not serving hard time in Mexico
No, he's definitely not doing that.
for the murder of 5 other people.
So, but essentially the movie starts with this scene in this hotel where we see Jada Pinkett, who plays a character named Peaches, pushing a cleaning cart down the hallway. And we think, oh, she works there.
Yeah.
Sure.
And she ignores do not disturb signs.
Right.
I'm like, this is the worst
Yeah.
made in hotel history.
My wife and I were commenting on that at the beginning. It's like, what the heck? Like, specifically do not disturb signs?
Yes.
It becomes evident later why.
Why?
Yeah, still.
But without context, immediately you're just like, what is happening? Right? We got pooping
She was
guy.
going for
We got sex people.
Yeah, she was going for a very subtle scene,
Right.
Her character was subtle, low key.
Well, her entire performance was very nuanced.
Yeah.
I guess we should take this time as any to comment on it. I actually really liked her performance in this movie from a comedy standpoint.
Right. Yeah.
But man, you can never use the word nuance to describe what happened
No.
with Jada Pinkett in this
She
movie.
was dolled up for most of the movie, looking very elegant and everything, but then her portrayal was very, very over the top hood.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But funny. I mean, to this point, I don't know. She had done like A Different World, right? Or is that the movie I'm thinking of, or the TV show?
I don't remember.
Anyway, she hadn't done a whole lot up till this point, and this was the first thing I had ever seen her in, and I liked her. I mean, I came away, I remember thinking, like, who is that? She's really good in this. But she is kind of dialed in at 10 for the entirety of the movie. But she's walking into random rooms. She, like I said, talks to pooping guy and sex people, and then it cuts to this kind of cliche bad guy diamond meeting, right? You know those meetings in movies where the guy's got the tweezers.
Tweezers and the black bag with the rocks in it. And
It's movie law that diamonds have to be transported in a black bag.
yeah.
Right. Drawstring.
It has
It
to be.
opens up flat. So
They're like,
that they
I'm
can
sorry.
Really,
Yeah.
Otherwise, the Hollywood police come in and they say, I'm sorry, you don't get to be a movie anymore.
Nope.
And, you got tweezers guy always holds it up to, oh, yes, this is definitely a diamond.
Right.
They go through the whole song and dance.
This is definitely a set of tweezers holding the diamond. Okay,
In
got it.
every single one of these movies. And then the cleaning lady busts in, and you're like, oh, okay, this moron. But Shame is hiding in the cleaning cart with his 2 guns,
Yes.
right? And 47 jokes that he's got. He
Loaded
draws
in
those.
those
He's got just jokes loaded in these guns.
Reloads them twice.
The guy cracks 17 jokes in the first 30 seconds of him being in the room,
True story.
right? And it's clear kind of that this movie is not something to be taken super seriously in that first scene. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
When was real quick here?
Yeah.
After this movie, when was his next movie?
I don't know if he did another movie for a while. I mean, eventually he did.
On it.
He kind of petered off after that. I mean, he did the scary movies as like a director.
Yeah.
His career kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, right after this, it kind of
Yeah.
took a huge...
White Chicks, I'm Gonna Get You.
Yeah, but that was more as a director.
1994 was Living Color. 06, Little Man.
So, do you think he just blew all his jokes on this movie? And he just ran out of jokes? That's why he hasn't worked in so long?
He just said, I got nothing left. I'd emptied both barrels.
Seriously.
And the reserve ammunition. It's
Yeah.
all gone. I use all my jokes.
I hope that joke works.
It
I
did.
set that one up.
But the best thing is you also have more of them if it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be like,
Well,
whatever
that was
happened to Joe? Well, he used all his jokes.
Yes, I'm done. Sorry, guys.
Joe's
I'm
out
done.
here.
Best episode ever.
Yeah. Now, does that guy say in the room that he's Chow Yun Fat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand why he says that because Chow Yun Fat is a actor from Hong Kong who is a famous action actor.
He's also a famous crime lord.
Yeah, that just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's like, what? That'd be like American in a Japanese movie going, my name's Brad Pitt.
Or in a Western, my name
Yeah.
is Clint Eastwood.
Well, but that's, had plot reasons to do that in Back to the Future.
There's possible that we don't know. Maybe that's a, more of like the organization title. Like you're part of that organization as opposed to the actual person. I don't know.
Chow Yun Fat is an organization?
It could also
I'm
be
just
the Bill Smith of China too.
Is that the case?
I doubt it.
It's John Smith.
But it was a
I'm
pretty
John
good crack. He said, yeah, means come with a side of egg rolls and miso soup. Actually got a laugh out of my wife. I was turned around. I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
I guess that joke works.
Mark that one up on the board. Okay.
Well, if you like blatant racism, you're going to love the rest of this movie. So this movie has not aged by 2022 standards. So he gets the stuff. This is another kind of, in action movies, always things that cracks me up. He gets the diamonds after having his little tiff with Sven Olsen, Arnold's buddy, who's in the movie for like that one scene.
Which he acknowledges too.
Which he does. They just call it straight out.
Say hi to Arnold for me.
This dude's in every Arnold movie. He was the guy that Arnold killed in Conan the Destroyer that tried to ride up behind him and sabotage him. And he does the whole like pose thing and big fight. He's got his hand up in the air. That's the guy. Anyway, he's got the diamonds. He's got everything. And he's got the drop on him with the guns. You just back out the door? What? No. Well, he just punches the guy and
then
dives behind a bar. Mm-hmm. And they have a shootout for no reason.
Right. Well, they had a lot of bullets.
They got to use a lot of bullets. They had $10 million to spend on this movie, but it just made absolutely zero sense
Seems
from
like
a
the
scene
excuse
standpoint.
for a lot of this stuff. Listen, we have it. We're going to use it.
You got to love the bulletproof bar though.
Yes.
Bulletproof bar is great. It's
All
very
bars are
helpful.
bulletproof.
Right.
But that's
That and couches.
In the movies, the squibs only go as deep as whatever they're mounted on.
That's
They
true.
don't Continue.
No. They actually use real bullets.
they do. It's all live ammunition.
Yeah.
Well, that would be if it had a $1 million bullet. They would have had budget. They would have had to use real bullets.
10 guys died in this movie. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Budget was lower, so we had to use real ammunition. Squibs
There's a
are
lot more.
expensive.
There's a lot more Keenan Brothers.
That's not why he won this shootout. He won this shootout because he did the one upright gun and the one sideways gun. That's the reason I was like, oh, he's classically trained. That's what I saw.
Classically
When I saw that.
Means you hit him 1.5 times.
It's like part heat, part street, right? This is what this was. That was a 90s thing, wasn't it?
It still goes on to this day.
I remember that in the movies back in the day, being like all the street characters held their guns sideways in the 90s.
Right.
But I don't know if that's still a thing. But regardless, was that supposed to show he's like halfway between street and not street? I don't know. it was super dumb, and he did it like 4 times in the movie.
It was like his little signature move, kind of like Travolta in Swordfish, how he held the cigarette. If you remember that.
I thought his signature move was his ever-moving hairline that was different in every scene, or it's like sometimes his hairline is here.
Okay, yeah, I knew that, but
you're right. He held it weird. He held
his cigarettes in such a weird way.
That's true.
And it was almost like,
not as weird as in the
Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow movie.
Yeah.
He's got like 7 fingers fully outstretched. Like he has extra prosthetic fingers to really add on to the effect.
Can we add 2 fingers, please? It was his only demand.
These fingers are not long enough. I need more.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe he was trying to make a little signature stance, or I don't know.
Well, Shane gets away. He eventually runs through the hotel, cracks 4 more jokes, even though he's in a life or death situation.
Yep.
He tells the waiter, "I'm gonna take mine to go." Runs across everyone's table, ruins everyone's lunch in the building, and then jumps through a window and through the roof of a limousine.
Yes.
He's fine.
He's totally
2 stories
knocked out.
Okay, plausible.
Yeah.
On the plausibility scale, C+, I guess. Except it didn't look like that limousine was parked where the front window was.
I was expecting a pool splash. Yes,
was the top of that limousine made out of drywall and?
Yes,
it looked like chunks of drywall and
glass pieces.
Yeah,
but then they didn't come through the roof. You know,
no.
That and the hundreds of people running around with submachine guns and pistols and rifles, and nobody cared.
No one cared.
They just ran into a
the police were
hotel.
On their way.
People are just eating their eggs and like, oh, look, would you look at that?
Is this? Are we in Vegas?
Oh, pick up your plate. Pick up your plate. Dang,
that was good.
He must be in a hurry.
All right, so we get to his office. After that whole thing, he gets ripped off he's just working this diamond heist for an insurance company to make a buck.
Yeah.
Okay. But he gets to his office and he named the PI organization a low down dirty shame. It's the name of the movie.
Works for the film.
Is the organization. Okay. Just was surprised by that.
Get it? Because his name is Shame.
The bigger issue is
it's shameful.
Why give him like this fly ass apartment when he's supposed to be down and out on his luck? That was in L.A.
Yeah.
That place was huge. Huge and nice.
Because he used to be able to afford it. Oh. That's why he's low down and out now.
Okay, but I know they pay lip service to the fact that the bank is going to come foreclose or something. I think she tells him at one point.
Right. He owes her money.
The amount of cars, guns, real estate, clothes does not match the fact.
So he was a dirty cop.
I don't know. I'm just saying that he, throughout the movie,
low down and
he was
dirty.
supposed to be this poor, detective or PI, whatever.
Right.
And then throughout the whole film, they just keep throwing more money at him. He gets fancier and fancier.
There's also a point here, right as you guys are talking about
pay
this.
some bills, sell some of this shit.
Honestly.
Right.
Peaches should be like, you've had that car this whole time?
Right. the Aston Martin Volante. Yes. Yeah. So, no, like a few minutes later, we get the cop comes in, gives him the new job, and they're talking about, we got to go.
Yeah, Sonny Rothmiller.
Rothmiller, yeah. Sonny. So he comes in, gives him the new job, but then they decide she's got to go shopping to go get this information, right?
Right.
And then he opens up his wallet, and there's this Jetson moment where he hands her $100, and then she peels out like 7 more hundreds out of his wallet and just walks away with it, and she buys all this stuff. It's like, you're low down, I'll owe her money, just got this check in, and you're not going to pay her, but you got thousands of dollars in your wallet. What happened?
Honestly, that's the money thing.
Yeah.
And this whole movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
He has like a minor 5 o'clock shadow and some hair.
He dresses like a bum.
And he's complete and utter bum, and everybody's calling him out on it. Jeez, why are you dressed like that? I'm like,
yeah, like every scene.
I look like that on a normal day.
I'm like,
he didn't shave for a day.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you look like crap.
Well, he had a sweater.
Looked like
anybody.
He had a sweater and pants on versus a suit.
Suck.
I was like, okay. Yeah.
Bro, you're going to die.
He looked like me today.
Yeah. You're going to die old and nobody's going to love you because you look like this and you'll never get the girl. And
In L.A., even as a working cop or DEA agent, he's not affording that place. He'd have to be the CEO of the DEA or whatever. Is there a CEO of a DEA? I don't think so.
No.
It's an appointed position.
Yes, by the president.
By the president. I'm sure it's a government job, so it pays super well.
Yeah.
But still, none of that really made a whole lot of sense.
Anyway,
yeah, you're right. Sonny shows up, played by Charles S. Dutton, who I love. This is a year after Rudy. He had just come off of Rudy.
Yeah.
That was 93. This is 94. And this dude is dialed up. I mean, he goes from normal to yelling in almost every scene he's in at the drop of the hat. And I'm here for it. I love it. Charles Dutton yelling is always great. But anyway, he comes in, he says, Mendoza's alive and we need you, Shane, blah, blah, blah. You got to come back because he's got a new face. That's impossible. He's alive, I tell you, and he's shacking up with your ex-girlfriend. And so this sets the plot in motion, right? Got to find the girl that used to be his girlfriend, who he... Now, they did a poor job, I think, of explaining this backstory, but from what I could tell, Angela was with Mendoza. He needed to get close to Mendoza in the past, probably did so through Angela, and they ended up falling in love with Mendoza's girlfriend. So Mendoza hates him because he stole his girl.
And his money.
This $20 million.
So he thinks. Mendoza thinks.
So he thinks. So that's what Shane's got to do, right? The problem is, at this point, I'm going to do some glossing over because the first 45 minutes of the movie, the only police work that happens is he tries to find out where she's coming to buy her perfume, and he goes to see Luis for the first time. You tell Mendoza I know he's alive, and that's it. Those are the only two police developments in the first entire half of the movie.
Well, there should be police when Peaches attacks a soap opera star.
Yeah,
we should have seen some.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They just instead he just kind of takes little sketches almost, right? I mean, this guy did come from In Living Color, and he's like, "Let's do the soap opera gag," and that was funny.
He had 300 jokes he needed to cram into this, so he's like, "All right, let's just put the police work to the side.
Right,
we got jokes to tell. Let's just focus on these guys. All right, this is what's important."
Yeah, and I did think
comedy.
I think some of the comedy worked really well. I thought the boxing debate between him and Peaches was very funny about Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson.
Muhammad Ali can't even spell Muhammad Ali.
That's right. And I would have
say it.
Do you want to say it again?
No.
Time out. Go again.
Muhammad Ali could even fuck it. I'm done.
Yeah, that's right.
Mike Tyson can't even spell Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali can't even spell Muhammad Ali.
That's right. That's
Thank
right.
you, Clint.
But it's still great.
A lot of syllables, Joe.
It's a lot.
know.
It's a lot to get out. Then there's the whole joke about Shane waking up in the crying game, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, wouldn't that be funny if he thinks that her roommate is a girl, but instead it's a dude and they're snuggling? And like, this is what they spend 10 minutes on in the movie
That was a long drop.
Instead of moving the plot forward.
But that setup absolutely sets up the point in the spa, which I thought was a phenomenal, like the funniest joke section in the movie.
That was a very which we'll get to, but even that I've got issues with.
Yes, that crying game scene was very relatable.
Was it? Has that happened to you, Mel?
Has it happened to you?
Not in the last 5 years.
Me neither.
I don't want to talk about.
What was the other one I was trying to think of?
What happened 6 years ago?
Oh, the other seemingly random scene, which is totally just setting up a joke later, is we have a 5-minute discussion about dogs and the National Enquirer.
Yep. Yes.
Right? That's a whole other thing. I will say this. I do miss the 90s when he's trying to get the information from the perfume store, and then whoever was the clerk just gave all of her personal information to Peaches, who was seemingly just a random citizen herself, right?
Yeah.
Right. And she's able to go in and get her phone number, her home address, her P.O. box, right? Where she lives, what she likes to sleep in, what country her parents live in,
her social
security number,
list of her worst fears.
People do that with Facebook now. They just send you a message and people are like, oh, yeah, my hair color is brown.
In the 90s, people, they were fast and loose, man. They were like, what do you need? Yeah, I'll give it to you.
What was that last movie we did where they called into the doctor's office and doctor's like, yeah, just give out all the information you need?
Oh, yeah. What movie was that?
Yeah, we had HIPAA. What year was HIPAA invented? Joke.
I don't remember.
That's the last one we just did.
They all blur together.
What did we do
was
last
it?
week?
That wasn't last week.
I can't remember any farther.
It was Mr. No Legs was before it, and then it was I don't know. This is riveting radio
and
here.
For those out there, just remember that HIPAA has 2 A's and only 1 P.
So after the stellar police work, so he goes to Luis's, like I said, and he tells Mendoza, I know he's alive, and they have this little fight. And I will say this about the action, which was decent. because you have people that haven't shot a lot of action before and they don't really know what they're doing, they tend to overuse slow motion when you're in those scenarios.
Yeah. Sure.
And there's way too much slow-mo in this movie.
On the most mediocre moves.
Yeah.
Drags the action.
Yeah, I'm slow-mo spin and then kind of nudge you with my elbow.
Exactly. And you take what would have otherwise been exciting and make it mundane. And that's what slow-mo does. It's much more exciting in full speed. Now, there are moments for slow-mo that work really well in action scenes when it's in a moment when you don't know if someone's going to accomplish the thing they're trying to do, whether it's reaching on a big jump or diving. They're both diving for the same.
They want to draw that suspense
gun
out,
or whatever.
Yeah.
But in just like, am I going to be able to throat chop Mel, who's right next to me? We don't need to have slow motion for that. It's much more exciting if out of nowhere he's just like, bang. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know I couldn't actually throat chop you. You would annihilate me. Shoe stores are dangerous, man.
Shoe stores are dangerous.
So I did laugh after all this police work that he goes back to Peach's house and he says, I'm onto something. This is an actual line of dialogue. You're onto what? You throat chop Louise and you found out about her perfume. I'm onto something.
Yep.
Is that before or after the 8 broken ribs and the slight scratch on his face?
That was before, I think. Who was your favorite side character in this movie? Because I've got mine. This is about when he shows up. Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
My favorite side character is her roommate.
Yeah.
Wayman?
Yeah, Wayman.
I wanted to hit the 90s alarm when he literally did the 90s thing where he goes, oh, no, he did it, and did the snap and the head. And I was like, I need a 90s alarm button right now. Yeah, he was funny.
Yeah.
You know, he died right after making this movie.
Never got to see the actual film.
Now I'm sad. I did not know that.
Like, immediately after. He got pneumonia. He was 29 years old, and he passed away.
14.
He had COVID 6.
04, 05?
COVID 6, 2000. No, it was 1994.
Leonard Part 6?
Yeah, it was very, very sad.
Put it on the list.
But he was a stand-up comedian in Texas that Keaton Ivory Wayans discovered.
Okay.
And put him in the movie.
Yeah.
And this was his only movie he'd ever did, and then he died right after. My favorite side character, though, I mean, he was great, was actually Jerry Curl Mailman.
Oh, yeah.
The random guy just
That dude was hilarious.
Well,
and he's just like, he's just standing in the background of the scene.
Trying to
just
make
like,
your day.
It's like, yes, that was the best line. Girl, I'm trying to make your day. Right.
He's the one that gave Peaches all the information inside.
That's right. He got all the info.
All the mail.
And then he tells, and then Keenan tells, yeah.
Well, they were talking about it, waiting for Shane to pull up.
Shame goes, she's crazy about you, bro. And that was just perfect. I really liked that guy. I wish he'd been in more of the movie. I wish he had tagged along with Shame for the rest of the movie. Could you imagine how good it would have been if Jerry Curl Mailman was in every scene for the rest of the film?
What if Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I was just I had that one loaded up for the end already.
When we get to it, yes, but I will say now, Arnold absolutely would make this movie better. But we'll get to that at the end on our normal spot.
So.
All right, so the police work eventually picks back up. He figures out how to get that girl out of the perfume store by calling in with the phrase that pays at the store.
Jingle of the key.
Yeah.
You got a new car.
And we're just going to ignore the fact that FM doesn't go down to 82.3. That doesn't matter. It only goes to 87. But who cares about tiny details like that? It's the phrase that pays. And that was a pretty comical way to get her out of the store. But here's another trope. Got to have the slow-mo reveal of the girl coming out of the taxi cab the first time in the movie. Got to. Movie law.
Man, Kenny G was busy on this movie.
I'm like, we have to introduce the girl, the femme fatale, the whatever, in every single movie.
Heavy saxophone.
With the heavy sax. Slow motion, getting out of the car with the hair flip when she's out.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
It's such a trope.
Can you say that again a little slower?
Joe and I are going to need a minute.
Yeah.
Shane follows her into a spa or a girls-only gym. I couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah, it was like a spa, but women only.
Women only, but Wayman works there, right? Peaches'
Loose qualifications.
roommate. And then they have this entire scene with Wayman and his boyfriend Bernard, which you really like.
I like this whole
I
scene.
love this.
Good times.
I wish I was watching Good Times, actually, when I was watching this movie. Yeah, it was fine, but again, I just felt like this entire scene was totally unnecessary.
Absolutely. I don't think it got us anywhere.
So very little in this movie actually moves the movie along, is what I'm saying.
There's so much.
But they're enjoyable in pieces.
That's what I'm saying. You said the first half of this movie just kind of slower than the second half. I think they put way too much into these scene development as opposed to character development. Because as we said at the beginning, the character development was all through some newspaper headlines and a slight little backstory drop, and that's it. It was done. That's all the character building. The rest of this is scene building for the joke they're building to later.
Right, exactly.
That's why the second half of the movie just banged out, because we already had all that.
Right. But the joke is that Shame acts like he's Wayman's boyfriend, and causes Bernard to storm off because he needs Wayman's help.
Right.
And we get I think the funniest line in the movie is coffee is good with cream, but better when it's black.
Right.
Great stuff.
It was a good line.
Right.
There's another one that I really like. I don't know. I can't remember if we pass it or it's coming up.
Lay it on us, brother.
It's the one where you don't blink because the black will be the last thing you'll ever see.
Right.
I totally missed it. When was that in the movie?
When
I must have been taking a note or something.
Yeah, when he finds the guy and then he brings him to the warehouse.
Oh, that's right.
His name?
Luis. Yes.
When he finds Luis.
Yes.
Before
he says don't blank. Well, I don't want to blow that joke yet, but
yeah.
Yes, I remember exactly what
it is later because now he's all dressed up.
Right.
He's got his trench coat and his little French collar. All right.
No.
I'm spoiling the movie here.
Yeah. So,
dude, if they haven't seen it by now,
you'd be surprised how many people listen that haven't seen the movie.
I understand that, but they're listening knowing they haven't seen this movie because the title is right there. We're spoiling it. They're intentionally watching a review of a movie they haven't seen. We're not spoiling.
Right, but if we do that now, then we're going to get to the end and have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's the little things.
This is part of why we try to go in order as best we can.
Yeah, I'm not spoiling it for the audience. I'm spoiling it for us.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. Darn it all. I'm an idiot. This show is trash at gmail.com.
None of this is going to make it in, so don't worry.
Perfect.
All right. So, finally, though, an interesting development. He catches up with the girl. Him and Angela reunite. He finds her, tracks her down to her hotel room. And we finally get an interesting development, which is we find out that Mendoza actually hired Shame through Sonny to find the girl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. No, I was watching that section where he found her and he's in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden the guys are mobilized. And for a moment, I was like, why the heck are they what happened? Did he trip some alarm? They knew this, that, the other.
He found the girl.
But it actually clicked in my head about 2 minutes before they released the same information that, like, well, hey, Sonny is with the other side when he walks into his apartment.
Right, because Shame called Sonny and says, I found her. Right. And then right after that, the bad guys are like, he found her.
Right.
Could they not have telegraphed that even more, though, when Sonny went there in the first scene?
Oh, you knew right away.
I knew right away because he's like, yeah, I got some side work for you. As in, the federal government has no resources to track a person down. They needed some private detective to happen to know somebody's perfume or whatever details.
He was personal with her, so maybe he knew something that detective didn't, that Sonny didn't know.
But so the DEA can't find somebody, so they need some detective to tell that DEA agent, and he's going to pay him on the side.
Knew that witness personally.
So, but they needed this dirty out of work failed cop.
Yeah, with the 5 o'clock shadow and the sweater
and the 7 o'clock shadow
and the 7 o'clock shadow.
And what a bum!
What a bum!
He'll never do anything in life.
Even when he did get cleaned up and shaved, he had the same amount of facial hair length. He just trimmed the edges.
Yeah.
Well, but Mel, isn't it like this in the shoe business? I mean, when you've got a pair of like very rare, expensive Jordans and you need to get, track them down, you can go through normal suppliers, or that dirty bum that lives 2 doors or 2 alleys down that knows how to get Jordans you're not supposed to get. You just go to him, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you just, you go over to the grocery store, you say, hey, I need to talk to Bill. And then Bill hooks you up, and then you're all set.
This is why you've been in the business so long.
This is why. This works.
Hey, fair enough. It works.
Shame is Dirty Bill from 2 doors down.
2 alleys.
2 alleys down. Yeah. My bad. He doesn't have a door.
The supermarket's in the alley.
That's right. Alley supermarkets are good. They're underrated. You should check them out. They're called dumpsters. All right.
It's a real dive.
So to get out of there, the bad guys show up at the hotel, and they've got to get out of there, Shame and Angela, and they end up running into this Jewish guy and this hooker that happen to be coming in at the exact same time, and they steal their clothes. But why put them in the other elevator is my question.
Can he fit into that guy's clothes?
Oh, that's a good point. He's about 2 feet taller than this guy.
Yeah.
And
fits it perfect.
It looks like Pee Wee Herman, like Black Pee Wee Herman in this thing once he has it on. But yeah.
Bow tie and everything, yeah.
That's maybe point number one.
Okay.
Can he fit? No, but it's true. Can he fit in the clothes at all? No. 2, they stash them in the other elevator. So as they get off and they kiss and they get past the dude, the elevator dings open and blows the whole thing. Yeah. Why just leave them in the hallway upstairs?
Or send them up to 20th floor
or something. Right?
Funny joke there, too, that I thought was amazing. He's less disturbed by the fact that this black man's got a gun on him. He's like, oh, I thought you were my wife. That he was getting caught. It's like that. I liked that. That was funny.
That was a good joke. I've been waiting to get your opinion on this, Clint, because, we've said many times you're a resident car guy.
Yes.
We have this tiny little car chase that happens here where Shame gets into a Jeep, okay?
Right.
And there's a taxi perpendicular behind the Jeep.
Yes.
And the taxi backs into the Jeep. This thing just goes pushed sideways, like flying sideways across 4 tires and then off a cliff. Plausible?
Well, what happened first? The Jeep actually drove over the
car.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
This
Thank you.
lower Jeep.
It's standard. It was a stock height Wrangler.
Oh, and you've owned a Jeep too, Joe.
I've owned a Jeep. So
is Jay.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. So
stock height Jeep drives over the top of this cab.
Right.
Absolutely plausible if the ramps are set properly. Totally plausible.
So
You're right.
The whole rad going up on the logs thing.
That was overshadowed by what happened after.
Right.
I should have asked about that.
But then, he drives over behind and then just throws the thing in reverse. No ramps. So he just pushes this car backwards off the cliff.
But he doesn't even push it. He just hits it and it goes on its own.
Yeah. Well, he hits it twice, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
He backs into it once, moves
pushing it, I can understand that. But it's like he hits it with enough force that it slides on 4 wheels sideways.
You didn't see the cable dragging the car off the other edge.
Right. But assuming no cables and ramps, not plausible.
Much less plausible.
Yeah.
Way more mile an hour would be required and you'd actually hurt people. But I think it was interesting to say, too, watching that $10 million budget and whatever, they actually had people in that car when it went down. They roll caged that truck cab and everything, and they dropped those people for the shot. They may not have dropped them off the whole 2 stories, but they actually dropped that car.
Respect. I always give I love when people do things practically.
Yeah, real
stunts. So respect to those guys. But the movie didn't need another gag.
No.
This is what I feel like they always kind of just take it a little too extra with it. Like, did they need to land at the drive-thru?
It was meant to be like the cab was on the edge of the cliff, and then the Jeep backed up, hit it, made it roll over.
Right.
But
if you look at the shot,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
The way they shot it, they added this slide into it, which is slightly, completely unnecessary. It takes the physics out of it.
Right.
They could have just simply had that, cab on its teetering on its edge and then hit it.
And then just nailed it.
Everything would have been fine, and all this internet trolls wouldn't have been sitting there and
like us.
Pointing out the physics problems behind it.
He backed into the car.
Yeah.
Back to back.
We're talking
would
about
have just pushed it straight off.
Right.
It wouldn't have turned sideways and slid off. Yeah.
And not to mention, you have a Jeep Wrangler, which is not that heavy, against a full-size Chevy Caprice.
Yeah. With a roll cage.
With a roll cage,
the brake pedal would have been
destroyed.
Yeah, the brake pedal would have functioned.
I don't bring this up to be one of those guys like, oh, that couldn't really happen, because I'm all about suspending disbelief in movies. I bring it up only to point out that these are comedians trying to make an action movie.
Exactly.
And this is what happens when you don't pay attention to these kind of details and how that's staged and shot, which you need somebody good at that to be able to pull it off.
I enjoyed that they landed in the drive-through portion of it, though.
See, that's comedy.
I think he should have tried to order something.
He should. I thought he was going to.
Right.
Yeah, me too. Luis actually really liked. So
Luis gets his butt kicked.
He does.
Oh yeah, the whole
He is
way.
the punching bag.
He is.
He's the Bob.
But I thought he was really.
He's the Bob.
I really liked his performance. Luis was good. So Sammy goes to once they show up like a bunch of terrorists at a tea party here at the hotel. Sonny goes to yell at Mendoza at Mendoza's house, right?
Yeah.
With a hilarious scene of Charles S. Dutton just comes in. He's like, "Oh, you gonna frisk me? You gonna frisk me? I'll arrest everybody in this place."
Do you know who I am?
That's right.
Just a ghost.
Immigration would give me a medal if I backed up a truck and packed all of you in it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's great. That's
Who's
great.
our who's
Are
our
you
guy that we
threatening
give the award to for overacting?
Well, it's not for overact. Oh, for overacting? How dare you?
Sorry.
Will Patton is not an overactor. He's
Sorry.
intense.
Intense.
No, that's
Yes.
Ernest is the overactor.
Yes, but
You shut your
You opt-
face.
I-
I,
well,
I won't come over this table.
you're wrong about Ernest movies, but you're right about that. Overacting is
I'm
kind of
wrong.
the whole
we
thing.
pulled my entire store
That's not true.
But anyways,
on a
Will
Friday
Patton.
night.
Will Patton.
Yes,
It's going to be
Nobody
hard
likes
to
Ernest.
pick
it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard.
Well,
the
between
winner
two.
on this one. Only two.
So
Well, for me.
here's a stupid thing that Sonny does is after he yells at everybody and he's in a crime lord's house, then he starts yelling about how he's going to tell everybody everything, and then just as he's telling us, more and more guys are just drawing their guns
Yeah.
and surrounding him. I'm like, dude, you better shut up. Better shut up. Ends up with a machete to his throat.
Yeah, you can see the point where he finally realizes, oop, my bad.
At this moment,
Are you
he
threatening
knew
me?
he
That's
effed
right.
up.
That's right. He's this brings us to what I don't know if it was. This brings us to an unintentionally, I think, hilarious scene, which is the John Wick suit up scene, but like the 90s version of that, right? Where right after the shame's like, all right, no more messing around. And he puts on the most 90s suit of all time. He's got the tiny little glasses, the blue suit with the giant blue trench coat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The clean shaven head.
The wall of guns, the clean shaven head.
Yep.
And then he gets into, and you mentioned it
sweet
before, but
goatee.
I couldn't tell what kind of car that was.
That's an Aston Volante.
Aston
Martin.
Volante.
Yeah, Volante.
Yeah. And immediately I'm just laughing. I'm like, why?
He's been driving this
How?
clapped out. He's been driving this clapped out Eldorado the whole time.
Right. He's like, how much do you think one of those costs?
Oh, I have no idea.
I'm just trying to think of how much money he could have sold it for and, gotten out of debt.
in the 90s.
Bills.
In the 90s, it was an 84, so probably still 30, 40. I don't know.
Yeah. And for 30, 40,000 in
Not quite a
1994,
$100,000 car. I don't know. I have no idea. I could be way off.
I'm
on
saying 40 grand in 1994 is more than 40 grand now.
that. I'm going to look
a
up
lot
what
more.
Aston Volante
look it up.
costs now.
Yeah, see right now if we wanted to buy one, what it would cost while we talk about
gonna
the
take
trench,
an hour
the trench
because-
coat for the next 10 minutes because that thing was. Even my wife, who's watching the movie, was like, "Okay, that's ridiculous."
But that was the style.
I know it was. It was huge back then.
I mean, I went to prom and I almost got one of those shirts with the straight collar.
oh, thank you for remembering to bring that up. Yes.
Yeah,
I don't remember what they were called, but that was a big thing. No collared tuxedo shirts, right?
Yes,
With the one button.
That was like the hot ticket, man.
Yeah, there were some guys at the prom that had that.
There was. But then, unfortunately, what happens is a couple D-bags showed up wearing that. And I was
Right.
like, oh, now I don't want to look
Now
like
you've
that.
ruined it for everybody.
That's how, yeah.
In 87, I think his was like an 84. And 87 would be $240,000 right now. There's an 82 on here for like 135. So depending on condition.
So depending on condition, you're anywhere from 135 to 235. We'll say
But-
$100,000 range.
But back in the 90s, much
Yeah.
less. I have
No,
idea what
but
the MSRP.
but I'm saying even if it's 40 grand in 1994 is like
Yeah, it was a lot more money.
a lot. It's maybe almost close to 100 grand now.
Clint, you have to adjust for inflation.
That's right.
Stupid inflation.
All right, you figure out the inflation calculations while we talk about this. Time. Here's the thing. He's this big suit up scene. All right, time for action, right? No, let's have a 5-minute scene where Peaches watches the Jeffersons
Right.
with Angela as they're hiding out at Peach's house. Every time it's about to get going, it just peters out to a stop. And if the scenes weren't funny, this movie would be terrible.
It would just
Right?
fall flat.
But it's carried by some winning performances.
She knows exactly what to say to get under her skin.
Oh yeah. And there was that great line where she's like, "Oh, you want to fight?" And she clears clears all out. And now we got space and opportunity. Nothing but space and opportunity. And to get the F out, and she does that like karate kick in the air. She was great in this movie. Jada Pinkett. I don't know what happened to her because it seemed like later in her career, at least the stuff that I saw her in, it looked like she was having much less fun than she was back then.
Yeah. I like when she kicked her out, and then she came back. She talked some shit, but then realized she's like, "Oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done that." And then went back out.
Right.
I'm just
I like
tell him
that.
she left.
You know.
Tell him she left.
I like that.
No, that was good. That was good. But the whole movie is just in general, I think, one big cliche, right? I mean, in a way, I mean, she was a willing participant in it, but her character is kind of a cliche. The Mexicans are a total cliche in this movie. I mean, even the music, whenever they come into a scene where there's Mexicans in the scene, they're playing like stereotypical music, right? The gay guys are giant stereotypes in this movie.
Over the top.
Super
There were
over
gay
the
guys
top.
in this movie.
Yes, there was 2 specifically gay men in this movie. And it was totally, I think, you know, whatever your opinion is on how Hollywood in 2022 works, but anyone can't deny that this would never happen today.
I mean, I was extremely offended by the whole club scene. Because obviously that club scene was just that was all short people.
Why? Because he comes walking in shoulders high above everybody else.
Look, everybody in that club was short. So
Isn't he like 6'7" or 6'8" as it is?
But there was no other guys or any other women there that were anything above 5'3".
The movie, well, before we get to the club, there's one really important scene we have to talk about. And it's one of these scenes where it's just like super random, okay? And it's almost like they thought of a funny concept and had to figure out a way to shoehorn it into the movie, right? They're like, wouldn't it be hilarious if a low-level henchman stumbled into a skinhead convention?
Right.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
It'd be funny.
Oh, yes.
Great.
What did he ask him? I forget the question he asked him. When he got
Where's
to
the exit is?
He says, any of you guys know where the exit is?
But what? Get him! First of all, Shane just knows where there's a skinhead rally happening because he's on those message boards apparently.
Well,
He shaved his head.
He did shave his head. Maybe
did.
when you buy the head shaving razors, they actually just blanket mail to people.
Here's your
Got an
flyer.
advertisement right in there on the back of the Gillette.
Your flyer.
Just in case.
Either you play basketball or
We
you go to
don't
these
know why
meetings.
you're buying this.
Yes, but you know.
But here's the
We're
meaning.
just gonna throw this out here, right? Leaves him in the basement.
If applicable.
Leaves him in the basement. Just hopes it'll all go to plan. Rigs every door to not open,
Yeah,
so that
starts
he
driving down the street.
Starts driving, and so now we got Louise booking down the street, a dead, empty street in the middle of the hood, where there's a skinhead convention running behind him about 30 paces.
Yeah.
And Shane is driving next to him like, you sure you don't want to tell me what's going on, right? You got this whole skinhead.
I got good news and bad news for you.
That's right.
East LA is only 5 miles away. Bad news is it's that way.
That's the back behind you, right? And then he drifts into the crowd and is surrounded by skinheads. And I'm like, man, there's nothing funnier than a hate crime, right? It's a hilarious comedy.
I laughed.
Hilarious comedy. No one wants to talk about a hate crime being funny.
We did totally laugh.
No one wants to talk
about to own it.
about a hate crime being funny.
I was
Yeah,
about to own it.
I'm gonna step out of this one. Yeah.
All right, we'll just
I
zoom
value the
past
shoe
that one.
store.
So Shame, as you mentioned, goes back to the club to talk to Mendoza, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what happens in movies. You just show up to talk to the bad guy, and everyone starts pulling guns under the table.
Hold on a second.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody, Shane's Shame. I keep saying Shane. He wants to find out.
That's
where,
a better movie. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shane dies in the end.
Not this one.
He wants to find out where Mendoza
Right.
is at.
Yeah.
Where is he hiding? In a club with hundreds of other people in the open.
Yes.
And
Well, until
is
just
that
recently, nobody knew what he looked like.
That's the problem. They mentioned that plot point,
Maybe that's what it is.
and then
He
they
never
kind
changed
of
his name.
they never changed his name.
Right. No, he changed his face. Why would he change his name? There's got to be more Mendozas. Again, we don't know. That could be the John Smith down there, like you mentioned earlier.
Right. A lot of Mendozas running criminal organizations
Right.
these days. Got to be a different guy.
I mean, I bet
Although
there's a
now
lot
that
of
you say that,
Yeah.
there's a town that has a Mendoza Grocery 1, a Mendoza Grocery 2,
Well, there you
Mendoza
go.
Grocery 3,
Yeah.
all in the same town. So
I thought he looked different, but then I went back. I think it was just the Mendoza effect.
I just love how they barely just explain anything about how he got a new face or any of that stuff. Right.
eBay.
Good thing you were wearing protective eyeglasses. OSHA.
Why are you throwing things at Joseph?
Because I threw a joke out, and this half of the table didn't get it, and this one over here got it.
What's the Mendoza effect?
I thought he looked one way, but he looked a different way.
He keeps trying to make me spit my water across the table.
Anyway, everyone's pulling guns under the table as he's sitting there talking to Mendoza, right? The henchman pulls a gun.
Yeah.
Mendoza pulls a gun. Shane pulls a gun. All these people are pulling guns, and the one guy ends up shooting himself in the dick when Shane pushes the table up against him. It was hilarious. I mean, not often am I laughing at dudes shoot themselves in the junk, but that was pretty good.
Yeah, we laughed when Cheddar Bob did it too.
Headshot.
That's true. That's right. And immediately after that, he says, "I'm gonna kill this woman," right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "I don't give a crap because she didn't give me her phone number." Her phone number is 6969.
555-6969.
Nice.
Yes.
I knew a guy.
Cue the biggest eye roll of all time as I'm sitting next to my wife watching this movie, and she just I could hear the eyes roll.
She strained a muscle.
Lord.
You knew a guy that had that kind of phone?
I knew a guy who actually paid money to the person who had that number so he could get that number.
No way.
Yeah, serious. True story.
It's not enough that you randomly end up with it. He bought the number.
Yeah.
So he just randomly dials it first off to find out who
All
it
right,
is.
somebody has this number. And then they changed lines so he could get the number.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's pathetic.
It's easy to remember. I could drop the name and the phone number, but I won't.
No, that's fine. Well, we already know his phone number because you just said.
You don't know the first part.
Well, I knew where you grew up, so I'm guessing I know where it's at.
Close. Nearby.
All right. So anyway, as they're leaving, Wayman shows he's in the club. I don't think this was a gay club, but he's there with Bernard.
Yeah, the short club.
It's a short club. And so they walk up and he's like, "Shame?" And Mendoza realizes, "Oh, this is someone that you know and care about. So I'm going to try and shoot him." And Shame dives in front of him, but nobody actually gets shot. So we just missed, I'm guessing.
I'm assuming they missed.
And, Wayman ends up with some red wine on him. He's just convulsing on the floor thinking he got shot. Mm-hmm. And Bernard gives him the award for, what was it called again? The
most dramatic or something like that.
Yeah, some overacting.
Some
Will Patton
the award for I want to remember what so we can start giving it out in every movie that we talk about, right?
That's not
Like best.
They gave him the Will Patton.
The most overacting in a nightclub drama or a sleazy nightclub drama or whatever it was goes to Wayman. And this line delivery by Bernard is so over the top. Okay, he's his little like head shake and everything when he talks. And I'm like, I turn to Dana and I go, I am looking this guy up. I will bet you every dime in our bank account he's straight. And he is. The actor's name is Andrew Schaefer. Okay? Bro is straight. He's married with kids. The guy that played Bernard.
Full Al Bundy.
Full Al Bundy.
Married with children.
And he's also the guy that wrote The Cable Guy.
Oh.
Was Bernard in this movie.
So he's mentally stable too.
And there was two movies. I can't remember what the other one was, but it was so cheesy, so cliche, so over the top that I just sat there and I'm like, there's no way this is an actual gay guy. There's no way. And sure enough, he's straight as an arrow. That's it. Thank you for looking up. Nominee for Best Actress in a Groovy Nightclub Drama. All right, so we'll have to give that award out as well. But yeah, I was at once surprised and not surprised to find out that Bernard was a straight screenwriter. But anyway, Shame tracks Angela to the storage unit where we find the $20 million that belongs to Mendoza just chilling in a storage unit. And right before he goes there, in a suitcase,
as usual,
he sends Peaches into protective custody because the head of the LAPD showed up at his house.
Right.
Yes, the lieutenant
To just chew him out and arrest him,
Yes.
I think was the plan.
for
something.
For doing what exactly?
For private eyeing.
For private eyeing? I don't know. But regardless, he says, Peaches, you're going in protective custody. 30 seconds later, Sonny is showing up to take her from the protective custody and kidnap her.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally I have to imagine those cops and her had just closed the door
and started making popcorn,
and Sonny is already there to kidnap her. That's how fast this would have had to have happened.
Right. And how come Sonny, who works for the DEA, knows exactly that she went into protective custody, that she's at the safe house?
This is what I'm
Where
saying.
The safe house? Well,
And she is-
he used to work LAPD, though. They did
Right.
say that.
And she is tiny, by the way. I don't know how tall she actually is.
She's like 5'1", I think.
She's
or 5'.
tiny.
Yeah,
She's a member of the short club.
She is absolutely.
movie,
again, that could have been a little things for later, but legitimately, she is in this big sweatsuit.
Yeah.
That is just massively
It's huge.
huge.
It's awesome.
That makes her
that
look
was the
even,
style.
makes her look like
But also, apparently,
12.
Sonny Rothmiller is Luke Cage, too, because this guy took a pot of boiling water to the face.
face.
Nothing
Happens. Yep. I've seen that.
No burns. He could still see.
Would have got burnt if she'd have smacked him with the pot a few times.
Well, you would have get burned with just boiling
Well,
water.
I
You'd have
understand that.
your face
But
would be
this is a movie.
blistering.
Your eyes would be closed or
all that
blistering
stuff.
closed.
Right, but that part's a movie, so obviously they didn't actually get him with the boiling water.
He
But,
just like
if
one
you were
hand
gonna
wipes it
throw-
off and he's good to go.
But if
Because
you're
he's Sonny freaking Rothmiller.
But imagine you're her, and you're going to throw the boiling water at him. Would you not smack him around with the pot a couple of times, too?
It's
That was-
boiling
guess.
water. You
But
would think it
that's-
would work.
Although we didn't see it was boiling yet.
It's
It was
something-
bubbling when
Oh, it was
she picked
bubbling?
it up. Yeah.
Okay, fair
Maybe
enough.
it was just
Yeah.
a pot with a little bit of
Bubbles in it. It was just
miso soup.
so soon.
That's right.
Had fizzy
Oh,
water.
my
No,
gosh.
what's
No.
the frozen carbon dioxide, the dry ice?
Yes.
There
Oh,
you
it's just
go.
a dry ice.
That would hurt, too.
Maybe
That
just-
also would
That
be,
would also be bad on
just
your
a little
face.
bit of dry ice in there.
that could be true. But regardless, he angrily tucks his shirt in after he finally gets Peaches captured.
That was my impersonation of him.
That was pretty good. For those of you watching on YouTube, watch Joe tuck his mime tucking his shirt in. It's hilarious.
He makes too much noise to mine.
Meanwhile,
Where's my member?
Shame and Angela are like, okay, we got the money. We need to stop Mendoza, but first we got to get back to the hotel so we can sex.
Right.
I mean, it is protocol.
I mean, this is the 90s.
There's another line coming up too. That's
Oh, and then he hears about Peaches, right? Like he finds out
Millions of
Peaches has been
Just for free?
kidnapped by Sonny. And Angela's like, forget about Peaches. Let's go to an island and sex instead.
yeah.
And he's like, no, she's my friend. I'm not sexing with you on an island until I find my friend.
Yeah, it's written by a 12-year-old.
And so this all this to set up the big showdown at the mall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Did I skip the line yet?
No.
You tell me when we get
Yeah,
there.
we'll get there.
So we now have the finale here at the Palisades Mall at some point after hours because the whole place is shut down and empty and dark. And this, I have to say, is the single biggest WTF moment in the entire movie.
Yeah.
The mall SWAT team?
No.
Oh.
Well, no, but that is also, these guys are military trained. They'll eat shame alive.
The highest armed set of security for a mall I've ever seen.
There were some mall cops that were there in the
Yeah.
full mall cop uniforms. And then there
Tons
was,
of them crawling with it.
just crawling with it. Anyway, they show up and now Shame is at the top of the escalator with Angela and Peaches and Mendoza and Sonny are at the bottom of the escalator and there's going to be an exchange
Right.
where they're going to send Peaches up and they're going to send Angela down the escalator and they'll pass in the night and then this is the prisoner exchange. And at one point he looks behind him and says, there's Angela standing there.
Right.
But then when it cuts to the exchange, there's a freaking mannequin
Going down the stairs.
going down. How did he pull it off?
Switcheroo.
No, because they would have had. So he turns around. Here's Angela, and he goes, "Give me just a second." And he walks back to Angela, and then it cuts to the thing is on the stairs. He would have had to have picked up the mannequin, walked it over to the escalator, and set it there.
It was dark.
it just teleports to the escalator.
Maybe Angela did it.
They would have. It's right there.
Who's watching?
There is no way around this one, boys.
But
It was dark in there.
It was not even
There was a
dark.
light
Everyone
behind him.
could see everything.
There was a light shining from behind
You
him,
still see a
blinding.
silhouette go yoink and pick up the thing and go over. I'm just getting Angela.
like you kind of
just
wobble her
wobbling
around.
it. But you just walk her like this.
like moving her arms. And
Oh my
such.
god!
From a man that,
I'm so upset about this.
From a man that owns a radio-controlled hobby shop. Maybe
Yes.
he had RC cars on the
Hit RC. It just she just hovers lumbers over to the escalator. There's no way he pulls it off. Go back and you guys that are listening, go back and watch.
I seen it. I mentioned it to myself.
There's no way he pulls that off.
The line I'm talking about comes up right about here.
Okay.
What's the line he gives to Angela? Or is it Mendoza? Gives to Angela, like, I'm gonna shoot you, but we're gonna have sex first.
Oh, that's right.
One last time.
One last time.
I'm just so you know, when you get down here, I'm going to kill you, but not until after we make love one more time.
That's how you get women, boys and girls.
Yes.
That is some serious sex talk right there.
That pickup line has never failed.
I mean, I guess at that point,
That is the best and worst pickup line in the history of all pickup lines.
I'm going to try that on my wife later tonight. Kelsey,
No,
I'm sorry.
it's going to be bad.
I'm sorry.
Just letting you know now, it's going to go poorly.
Real bad.
It was going to go poorly anyway.
at that point, the order really doesn't matter.
No.
Oh, that movie could have went whole. Yeah, if the order was
My wife
different,
would be
it would
like,
have been
"Did you
different.
kill me first?"
Yeah, it would have been. Oh my gosh!
I'll tell you what, Mel. Movies love a good repelling SWAT team, and as you're an expert in police procedure and shoe sales, 9 dudes rappelling from the mall window. It's the most efficient way, probably, to come in and take them out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's the best way to cover them all. It's like
Everybody through the roof.
that's the old dope on a rope play.
At least they didn't use iced tea because that would have spilled.
Oh, that was a good joke. That last episode.
That was fantastic. That's my homage to you guys.
They're military trained, but they can't hit the broadside of a barn, right? I mean, none of these guys hit a single shot. Not
That's
one single
pretty
shot.
much legit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. The my other favorite thing that happens is they get into this sporting goods store.
It's completely full of flammables.
Yeah,
And then he's like, "Oh, it is."
This sporting goods store in the middle of a mall has more gasoline,
It's lantern fuel,
lantern
lighter
fuel,
fluid.
gasoline,
Camping
propane
fuel.
tanks,
Which, by the way, are
C4, nitroglycerin. There's
full propane tanks are never stored indoors.
no,
Never.
right, never.
They're not allowed to be, I'm assuming.
But
Right.
obviously
Right.
in the
'Cause they
mall.
leak.
This is
And cause a
California.
fire hazard. It is California, though. Everything causes cancer.
Fertilizers in there,
Let's just assume.
sparklers.
Yes. Okay. So the
Anti-air
inventory,
rockets.
the inventory is ridiculous. Okay. The inventory is ridiculous. Let's just
And
assume
bungees. And bungees.
we'll even go a step further and go, okay, we'll grant you your ridiculous inventory.
It's like the store in
But there's-
GTA 5.
The store is not that big. Okay.
Right.
There's other bad guys in the store, and he's able to make his way through the entire store and do all, and off the top of his head, put this together.
Yeah.
MacGyver set it all
Launches
off. And then
tennis balls out of a tennis ball tube
I don't know if that the
That
science
doesn't
behind
work.
that.
with lighter fluid.
That doesn't work.
So for listeners at home, he has a sleeve of tennis balls.
Yeah, don't
Right,
give
right,
this away. We'll get flagged on TikTok
I can tell you how.
for dangerous acts.
But I don't.
tell you
I'm
how
not going
I
to
can
use
make it work, but the way he did it doesn't work.
No, well, he has a sleeve of tennis balls, and he pours lighter fluid in the tube, and just lights it on fire, essentially.
Right.
And that's in and of itself
shoots out?
is supposed to shoot tennis balls out of the tube.
It won't shoot the tennis balls out, but it'll shoot some flames out. It'll go poof, and then that'll be it. It'll
that'll
There'll
be
be
it.
no more air left.
Right.
yeah.
Regardless, he has a bungee cord that he finds in the room.
Yep.
Attach it. What does he attach it to? I don't even remember.
Probably a shelf somewhere. Whatever. I take
Some
his
display.
I
Some
take
Michael Jordan display.
a little bit of an exception to the fact that he then jumps over the railing out
Yes.
and
Off
on a
fourth
bungee
story.
fourth story, whatever. He's
Yeah.
got the length calculated mint. All right, that's cool. I like it.
I'm saying he did this on the fly.
I'll buy that. It's possible. But he jumps out and then he ends up falling straight down. He doesn't swing back and smash his face all over the side of the building like you would.
No, I suppose not. He's
Yeah.
perfectly up and down.
Doing, doing.
What's the most disturbing thing about the whole thing is this movie and like a lot of other movies, the disposable cops.
Oh yeah.
You know, there was one moment where there's a cop on the radio going, "Oh, C sector is clear." I wish they had let that.
boom.
Yeah, and then he's dead. But I let that roll out a little bit longer. Like, oh, the C-section is cool. Then he turns to his other cop friend. Oh, I'm so happy that my wife's pregnant and we just adopted 3 children. I can't wait. Are you going to the church event the other day? Oh, yeah. We're totally helping out the homeless. Broken neck and he's done. And he's like, these cops are just normal guys.
They have lives.
But, they have lives, but he just destroys them all. And he's fine with it.
And they don't even want to be cops. They're security guards.
They're mall guards.
That's right.
Mall
murders.
Paul
Innocent
Blart.
cops and mall guards.
They tell you, sir, you can't park here. Sir, put your pants back on. That's pretty much all the mall cops are doing.
That's all they do.
Your experience with mall cops is
I actually
different
used to
than
be
mine.
I was almost a mall cop.
Wow.
Bass
Security. I was security for
you got killed
for a store in a mall. Yes,
That's right.
Yeah.
The craziest thing in this movie isn't even the fact that he blows up this store full of flammables, and as it's exploding, he bungee jumps over the 4th story railing down into the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
The craziest thing.
This is the craziest thing. I like how we keep saying that.
I know.
Maybe
it's not. Maybe I shouldn't. You're right.
Part.
Another crazy thing
There you go.
is in the now they're somehow in the basement, and Luis is chasing after Shame with dogs.
Yes.
Okay. And these 3 dogs, and it's with great care earlier in the movie, made sure everyone in the audience knew Shame's afraid of dogs.
I literally said to my wife, start singing James Brown. Start singing James Brown. Start singing James Brown.
So he starts singing James Brown music.
Alert.
And the dogs, it works.
Yeah.
It works.
He does a terrible James Brown impression, by the way.
That was the other thing. I'm like, could you just
Terrible.
I think anybody could do a decent James Brown with just like a little bit of effort,
Yeah.
but he did not.
Yeah, things
Really
don't work
at all.
like that.
I bet he
I've
could
had
do it better.
Rottweilers let loose on me.
Does it only work on Rottweilers?
You don't have time.
Did you sing
Bust out. No,
James
I
Brown?
just hopped an 8-foot fence like that.
You get on up, get up over the fence.
Yeah, no time.
But then Luis starts to sing some Mexican music to him.
Yeah.
Guantanamera.
Does
right.
not
It
work.
was, yeah.
And I was like, no, these dogs are black. They're not Mexican. It's not gonna work, man. And they ate him.
So you're saying if it was a pack of hungry chihuahuas.
That's what I'm saying.
No, he's not. He didn't get eaten.
Oh, you're right.
At
He's
the
still
end,
good.
he is carted out.
Well, because the running gag is he never dies.
Yeah.
Garbage
All that
full
meat.
of meats.
Yeah.
Garbage dumped on him.
Trope alert. All-time favorite trope here is when people can operate unfamiliar machinery perfectly, and Shame is able to look over here, flip a lever, push a button, and know expertly that this would dump the garbage that's right above Luis, and then causing the dogs to eat him. Like, has he ever operated that machinery before? That doesn't matter because
does he know it's full with garbage?
Does he know anything
And
about
knows
how
it's
that
a
works?
restaurant up there
That's what I'm
that
saying.
happens to have raw meat that's...
Right. It happens in movies all the time.
What if it's a scrapyard and just has nothing but chunks of aluminum and
The only
rusty
time
nails?
it happened the correct way it would have in reality is in Mystery Men when they couldn't figure out how the frickin' machine works and the buttons to push, and Captain Awesome gets like his brain sucked out of his head, right? That's how it should be in
You got to
reality.
start over. You can't start over.
But in most 7 movies, these random people just know how to operate whatever machinery is around.
There's lots of tropes in this.
Oh, yeah. Sonny eventually catches up to Angela in my favorite scene in the entire movie. Sonny comes down the stairs like, is that the money? I'm going to shoot you. And my wife literally turns to me and goes, she's going to distract him with his boobs. Straight up called it.
Yeah.
Okay?
His boobs?
Yeah, right.
He brought his boobs out.
Straight up calls it. She gives a little flip of her hip, and I'm like, oh my God, is she actually going to? And then she takes off the top, right? And she's in her bra. And I'm like, how on earth did you know that's
what she would have
was
done.
what was going to happen?
Has she done that?
Protocol.
No. It's protocol,
That's what you do.
Yeah, they teach you that in self-defense.
but Sonny
Before? I
fell.
tried that once.
Doesn't
Didn't
work for us now.
Didn't work.
Sonny fell for the oldest trick in the book, bra gun.
Yeah. Who hasn't seen that play out before?
1,000 times, that old chestnut. And then she has the most insane line. She says to him, you dumb MFer, you could have had some sex. And I'm like,
She said meow mix.
Like right
Yeah,
then and
man.
there? With
I'm
all
like,
the SWAT teams
wait,
running around?
was she actually going to have sex with him?
yeah.
That was, I was like, I thought the whole thing was a ploy to get the gun. But then when she says that line, I all went out the window to me. I'm like, wait.
She really would have moved away to the island with the cash and anybody.
With Rock?
That means that the bra gun. It doesn't make any sense.
Was just an extra added security.
He was
feature.
in Rudy. Okay, she felt like
She was not a fan.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I don't know if you guys noticed this. Peaches ran away so far she came back with a new haircut at the end of the movie. Did you guys notice this?
I did.
Stopped at the salon on floor 4.
It had to have been reshoots, like some point down the line. It had to have been, because when he sends her off to go hide in the car 10 minutes earlier, she's got her hair all like slicked to her head and done pretty and all that and short. And then when he runs into her in the bottom, right before the fight with Mendoza, her hair is completely different. It's all poofed out. It's different length on the sides. It's like shaved where it used to have hair, all that stuff. Like they didn't even try and get close to the hairstyle that she had before. I'm assuming she came in for reshoots.
But
it's like super obvious. So super obvious that you didn't notice.
I didn't notice it because, so much else going on.
Right. Well,
This movie was just layered with
subtext and drama and intense character
I was
development.
scouring the background.
That's right. You're scouring. It's not the background. It's literally in the foreground. It was a character's head.
I was scouring the background for details I missed, and I missed the big ones.
So you were trying to find the small details and missed the blaring ones that smacked
the little things.
face.
I was gonna, but I quit.
Well, we finally get our fight between Mendoza and Shame. He swings in on a zip line and they have their fist fight. It's an action movie, so
slappy.
Going to culminate
Fist fight.
culminate in a slap fight. He was a Muay Thai fighter. You could tell by his stance. Yes, that's I don't know how much Muay Thai was actually used in the fight scene, but the editing was like, we're going to turn 6 punches into 46 punches. Yeah, like every punch that Shane threw was like the same punch from 4 different angles, but really fast.
I did enjoy the fact that he went in to throw the to the fight initially, thinking he's just going to whoop this guy's ass, and it didn't work out that way at the beginning. That was good. I like that.
No, Mendoza can fight, and I'll take this opportunity now to say I really like the guy that plays Mendoza. He's a classic '90s bad guy, Andrew Divoff, who actually is a Russian. He's Venezuelan born with a Russian dad. He was the bad guy in Toy Soldiers. Did you ever see Toy Soldiers with the other guy from Rudy, Sean Astin?
Yes.
Was like the terrorists took over a boarding school or whatever. And he was in tons of stuff, and I thought he was great. And so anytime I'm looking at these '90s movies, I'm like, all right, who's the bad guy? Oh, okay, Andrew Divoff. I'm in. They have this fight, and it's fine. I mean, it's a fine fight, and then the girls inevitably have a fight, and that's kind of also robbed by crappy editing of any real impact. Even, I mean, it was okay. Anything that like you guys thought about either of these two fights that was like amazing, mind blowing to you?
Not really mind blowing, amazing.
Kind of vanilla.
I did say though to my wife, I like the fact that the fights were not overly long, and they actually, these are the kind of intensity that a human could put up with.
Yeah.
They were cut in to look crazy, but you're going to fight for 3 minutes and it better be
And
over.
literally the last punch he lands, like elbow around the back of his head or whatever, they did 4 different angles on the same one.
That's what I was making fun of earlier.
Boom. Yeah.
Slow-mo, barely graze the person.
Right. And we're going to just cut it super fast and then slow-mo and then, it's just bad editing.
I don't know if I would call it vanilla.
No, it definitely wasn't.
You could cut that out.
That's true. That's true.
Was it chocolate? Is that what you were going to say?
No, it was like a mocha.
It was coffee.
It was coffee.
It was coffee.
It was definitely coffee.
So then the cops come in, and of course, because it's a movie, the lieutenant has to be like, the place is a disaster. You trashed this mall.
$100,000 of damage.
It was Mendoza's mall, so who cares? He owned the place, he said.
Well, not only that, like, your dirty cop is the one that brought a SWAT team.
Yeah.
Like, not me, dude.
Yeah.
Like, the ceiling is not caved in because of me.
The police department's not going to pay for it.
They're not?
No, it's not coming out of their budget.
Well, then why is every police captain in every movie always so worried about, I got the Chamber of Commerce doing a tango on my Hershey Highway. I can't wait until we do Last Action Hero. Sorry.
The dude literally killed dozens of police officers
Well, we don't know that they may have been mercs because. Oh yeah,
Go ahead.
Like 10-15.
Well, you finish your thought.
Yeah, no, they may have been mercs. They may not have been PD.
I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, regardless, Shame wins and he makes out with Peaches, and I still felt uncomfortable about that. I wish they'd kept their relationship platonic, me personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, the guy and the girl, some people feel like you got to put them together at the end of the movie or people will be mad. But that brings us to the end of the film. And now if you've got stuff on your notes that we haven't covered, it's time to talk about the little things.
You talking about the club?
What about the club?
What about the club?
Yeah, the little things. That's the name of the club.
Oh, it should have been the name of the club.
Yeah,
Because
all the short people.
It's like an amusement park. You had to be under the line to get in.
that or the Lollipop Guild.
Which means Shame had to throat chop the guy at the door to get in. They should have showed that part.
Had to duck
I'm
down
sorry,
to do
so
it.
you're way too tall.
He limboed right through the door.
No, a 15-second slow-mo throat
Yeah.
chop into the guy's
They had one of those roller coaster measuring
Yes.
height, but it was if you're above this line, you cannot come in.
That's right.
Because that whole scene was ridiculous. The
It
fact
was.
that he walked in and everybody was 3 feet under him.
Yeah, it was crazy.
At least you could see.
It was, yeah.
Any other little things that you guys noticed that you'd like to bring up?
I was gonna throw in, but we already kind of did. The car stunt was actually real. I like that.
That was cool.
I mean, and earlier on, the actual cinematography of it was, not like a lot of the stuff we've been covering where it's like, hey, what the heck is going on? It was actually pretty clean.
All right, awesome. Mel, anything from you?
I don't know. I'm still torn on this movie.
Okay.
I liked it as a kid,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of things that I just watched and cringed.
Well,
Serious
you've only got
cringe.
about 5 minutes to make up your mind because after we do the awards, we're gonna find out your final verdict. So
With all
stay
the-
tuned.
Your problems are procedural now, right? Like, yeah, they just make too many
Yes,
mistakes.
too much.
That's right. So the awards that we give out every single episode are 3. There is the Will Patton Award for intensity. That's not an acting award. It's specifically for the actor that is like just 110% dialed in, going after his part like it's the most important thing that ever happened, and he's super intense the entire time. That's who we are giving that to. Then there's our Trash Can Full of Dirt Award, awarded to the actor that has showed the emotional range of a trash can full of dirt. So that is an acting award, or rather a poor acting award. And then we pick for us personally who we thought gave the top 3 performances in the movie. And so as we look at the Will Patton Award for intensity, who do you guys think was the most intense in this movie? Clint?
Mine is a toss between Mendoza and Sonny. I'm going to give it to Sonny, however.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was channeling a little bit of excuse me. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think he was channeling some of his on-screen persona from some of his other films, and that's kind of Charles S. Dutton is at his best when he's got it dialed up to 10.
Hit
You
us
looking
with
at
it.
me?
Hit us with it. What's your...
My choices. Thank you.
For Will Patton.
There's no cue, but
For
that's okay.
overacting.
I'm looking.
Your choice is, Joe, for
I
an
got it.
overacting award.
It's not overacting.
Not overacting. I know. I just been doing it. I'll agree with Sonny,
Okay.
Mr. Dutton.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because he dialed it up.
Yeah.
Jada Pinkett Smith as Peaches.
Yeah.
From
That
start to
wasn't-
finish.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but
She
I just
had it
so
at
unbelievable.
23. She
Well, here's the
started at
thing.
16.
Will Patton
but then went to 23.
Will Patton lives at 10. He's the only one that is ever at a 10. Okay. So when I
She
said
went to
Charles,
11, she had to start over at 1.
that's right. When I said Charles Dutton was at a 10 the whole movie, I'm talking about a 10 for him.
Yeah, I know.
On the Will Patton scale, Charles Dutton was like a 7 in this
Yeah, I
movie,
get
even
it.
when he was at full bore.
Yeah, but talk about just going
Yes.
for it. Just
Yeah. So which one are you
not
giving it
wrong.
to? You got to pick
I have
one.
to choose just one?
Yes, one.
Oh, I wanted to do. Oh, jeez, fine. Mr. Dutton.
All right, Mr. Dutton.
Who's your top 3 Will Patton
Mel?
awards?
Jada Pinkett,
Jada Pinkett.
because she never shut up.
That's true. She only had 4 lines actually in this movie. And they just had to keep putting her in every scene because she made herself integral to the plot. So there you go. I'm giving it to Charles Dutton. So that he's going to end up ultimately winning the award with 3 out of the 4 nominations. So good. So congratulations to you, Charles S. Dutton. I'm sure it's the most prestigious award you've ever won in your storied acting career.
Yeah.
Our next one is the trash can full of dirt. We're going to go back around the other way. Mel, who is your trash can full of dirt award winner?
I'm still torn on this one, and I'm kind of weighing it out. So
We'll go back to Joe. We'll come back to you.
me.
Joe, who's your trash can full of dirt winner?
Man, to be honest with you, I don't really have a real trash can full of dirt. I mean, there were some characters that were,
Mailman, Jerry Curl guy.
yeah, but he was entertaining.
I would never.
I like his little line at
I
the
would
end.
throw this cold
Yeah.
coffee at you if you picked him.
Yeah.
This
I-
flaming cold coffee.
That's right.
I would say it's cheesy as it is, but most of the secondary mob people,
Like Chow Yun Fat.
yeah, I say maybe some of those because everybody else had a good,
Yeah, they were pretty bad.
yeah. But
If you're going to pick
that's
those
about it.
bit characters that were in there for a moment, sure. But for somebody who was in the movie,
Sure.
I got to say that the lieutenant, I just did not care for at all the lieutenant himself.
The head of the LA or the lieutenant from the
guy who
LAPD.
kept taking the credit for the busts,
Gregory Sierra, I think it was Captain Nunez.
yes,
So you're saying him would be a trash can full of
Yes.
dirt?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had Sally Richardson Whitfield. She's the girl that played Angela. I felt like Angela barely showed any emotions registering until she screamed at Sonny about how they could have sexed each other.
I agree.
That's
Like
not
she
false.
was kind of like just like meh through the entire movie.
Yeah, you're probably closer to true, whereas
about
mine is
Yeah.
more of a hatred for the character.
I gotcha.
As opposed to the
gotcha.
quality.
You could have
of the
put
job.
anybody in that position.
Yeah.
She was just there to try and be eye candy.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to be quick on this next one because it's a top three. We don't have a lot of time to hem and haw, so just come out with who your top three are, so we can get into the last couple points here because it's at 10:27 and we got to be done soon. All right, so top three performers, Clint. Who, in your opinion, when you watch, okay, these are the performances I enjoyed the most.
Yes.
Who are the top three?
Sonny is on there.
Okay.
Loved him.
I agree.
I'm going to take Shame, obviously.
Yeah,
to be in my
Keenan
2
Ivory
spot.
Wayans. Okay.
And my 3 spot, I was going to go with our Mendoza.
Mendoza,
are my
Andrew
3.
Divoff.
I
Okay,
could
cool.
potentially shuffle the list.
Yeah, no, but those are your top three.
Yep, definitely. I would say Keenan,
Okay,
Mr. Dutton,
Okay.
and then Gary, Luis.
Gary Luis.
Oh, yeah.
I like Luis.
Yeah, Luis.
I enjoyed him
No.
getting use a punching bag. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was funny.
You're not wrong.
Mr. Mel Vandy.
Shame,
Okay.
Rothmiller, Mendoza.
All right,
1,
those
2,
are 3.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Boom,
See,
boom,
I'm
boom.
not going to have. You guys all put Keenan Ivory Wayans in your top 3, and I'm not going to. I actually almost gave him my trash can full of dirt award.
To the
Funny.
guy that wrote and directed.
Funny guy.
Funny guy. He just, but some of his acting was so bad, and his line delivery in some certain scenes were so bad. But just he gets away with it because of his charisma. He's got natural charisma. He's a funny guy. But I personally didn't think he was very good.
He played so
in the
many
movie.
roles in this movie, like
Yeah.
the director.
Yeah.
director. He wrote it. So if you just replaced him with trash can full of dirt, the whole thing would have failed.
Right.
So that's why I didn't go that way.
No, and that's why I didn't either. But I have Charles S. Dutton and Andrew Divoff. So I've got Mendoza and Sonny in here, but then I've got Jada Pinkett in here as well because, not I don't know how good of an actress she was, but I enjoyed, she made me laugh more than anybody in the movie, and I enjoyed her performance. So guys, we have to now, and we'll come around, and Mel, we'll have you be last because you've been kind of hemming and hawing over this more than anybody. We have got to decide ultimately, do you think this is a bad movie full stop, or is it a bad movie that rules, or is it actually a straight up good movie? Clint?
I gotta go on the other side. I mean, this is probably a good movie. I mean, I don't think it should be a bad movie. The reason it's here is because it's a 0%, and there's got to be something wrong with that. There's an inside joke. We're missing it. Something's happening. There's no
Somebody
way
hit
this
a button.
is that bad.
So you're saying it's straight up a good movie?
It's a good movie that's
Okay.
darn good. I don't say
All
that
right.
it maybe rules. It's not a good movie that rules because that'd be a Titanic or
Okay, but a good, maybe
Shawshank.
one of your first good movies
Yeah.
that you've said yet. Okay, Joe.
I agree. It's a good movie.
Wow.
I think to be honest with you, it is a good movie for 1994.
absolutely.
Okay. I can't agree with that in any way. only because 94 was like this year where every
You're not
good movie
wrong.
that ever came out in 94. It was like Shawshank, Pulp
that's-
Fiction,
all right,
Forrest
That's
Gump,
exactly
all that
what I
stuff.
was
Let me-
saying.
let me
Those
re-
are good
yeah.
movies that rule. This
Yeah.
is not a good movie that
Exactly.
rules.
So I'm not disagreeing. You say it's a good movie, but when you said for 1994, I was like,
How about this?
it's like the 50th best movie.
yeah,
94.
for the 90s.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's a good movie. So for me, I've got it as a bad movie that rules only because they just weren't good enough at doing the action stuff. Like as a comedy, it's almost like two different movies. Successful, still an enjoyable film for me, but they were so poor at not only staging and shooting and directing the action stuff, but from a script standpoint, the cop stuff was super weak. So that's the reason I can't give it a good movie, but I'd watch it again. And so for that reason, I'd say it's a bad movie that rules. I enjoyed the film. Mel, where you got?
It's not a bad movie.
Okay.
And it doesn't rule.
All right. So it's a good movie?
No, it's kind of right.
It's a meh.
It's a meh. Like if it's on, I'm not going to turn it off, but I'm not going to go search out what channel it's on.
Well, if you guys want to watch it, just turn on BET. Apparently it's on every third hour. I mean, from what I saw on the schedule. So, and it's available, I think, streaming now. If people want to go
IMDb
see
for
it.
free.
IMDb
With
TV.
commercials.
Amazon Prime as well.
It's free.
Just got to
but
watch with commercials.
Yeah, watch
There you
with
go.
commercials. That's
There you
how I
go.
did it.
So, do you guys think Arnold Schwarzenegger would have made this movie better?
No.
As Wayman. Could you imagine Keenan waking up and it's Arnold in bed?
You were not complaining when you were running your hands through my hand. You were not complaining when you were running your hand through my hair last night.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Can't do it.
What do you say?
you
Show
know,
me
honestly,
tits? Or get shot or something like that.
So bad.
this might be the first movie that Arnold does not make better.
He 100% makes it better.
No.
He absolutely does.
No.
I don't know.
If he's shame, it's a better movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Here's
It
how.
would be Arnold written, directed, starred.
Right. Listen, here's why.
Jokes would not go over.
The jokes would be better. I mean, it would
They have to
change a little bit.
Yeah, they'd have to redo all the jokes.
Here's a perfect example.
Be a little more racist.
At one point, Keenan Ivory Williams,
Schmidge.
I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to make this just one point, okay? At one point, when he comes into the club to go sit down and talk to Mendoza, he says, "Where's Luis?" And he tries to do an Arnold line. He says he had some running around to do, and it wasn't funny at all in the way he delivered it. Or, I mean, it was just like, ugh, that was bad. That was his attempt at an Arnold one-liner. You know, he had to split, you know, all the stupid ones, like, cool off, Bennett, right? Like in all the stupid movies.
Yeah.
Just on that alone, Arnold
No.
would have been better in that moment, in that scene, and in the movie,
think
right?
It goes very racist if Arnold drops a Mexican off at a skinhead convention. I think that
Right.
that becomes a problem, and he doesn't get
The
elected
scene
to
would have, I mean, the
California.
movie would have to be reworked. Anytime they would cast
Right.
Arnold, they would change the script.
No.
Like the Running Man was supposed to be Christopher Reeves, and when they cast Arnold,
He couldn't walk.
they put all the one-liners in and they changed it and all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was before that,
Oh.
okay?
Wouldn't the Austrian be at that meeting? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Maybe.
wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Sorry.
Arnold makes the movie better.
No.
He's better if it's Mendoza. He's better if he's Angela. If he's the lieutenant. Yes.
You could have had.
How could you say no? You think Arnold wouldn't have been better than
I love
than
Arnold,
Mendoza?
but it wouldn't work for this movie. You would have to change the entire thing. Then it wouldn't even be Low Down Dirty Shame.
It still would be a low down dirty shame.
no.
His name
You'd have to
his name
change
would be
the-
Shame.
My name would
Sham.
Yeah, Sham.
Sham.
go down to
That's
the
right. That's right.
Low down.
And you need enough room for my fist because I'm going to ram it into your stomach.
Fine. You're right, except for the fact you're not.
Other than the fact that this movie would, all right. Here's.
We're gonna.
I'm going to put this to rest.
Okay.
Okay.
You're
None
wrong.
of this is personal, but I'm gonna. Here we go.
All right.
Are you telling me right now the movie sits at a 0% that if Arnold's not in this movie, it doesn't get at least 1% on the Rotten Tomatoes?
Fine.
Well, if you twist my arm like a giant
Yeah.
wrestler would.
All right, boys.
It's the only point you have.
Next one.
It's the only one you need.
Next week we gotta get running. I appreciate you guys being on here and listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode, and call your grandmother, tell her about Bad Movies Rule, tell her to tune in. We don't mind having some old ladies listening to the show. What's that face?
I don't know that they like being called old ladies.
Get those crusty,
wrong
dusty,
with you?
old crotchety
Why are you
old
so
women.
mean.
Give
All
them,
right.
give them their
All right.
dementia medicine.
They could listen to it over and over again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so next week, guys, we are going to be talking about one of the all-time great bombs of the last 30 years. A historical bomb for Kevin Costner in Waterworld. Dry land is not a myth, nor is dry dialogue. I've seen them both in this specific movie. Tune in next week for Waterworld.
That thing's going to sink.
On behalf
seat in the house.
On behalf of Clint Bush and Joe Gorotowski, Mel Vandy, I'm James Hauser. Thank you for listening.
We truly are the worst movie podcast.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
And we're trying.
Give us another 2 years. We'll be worse than anybody.
Yeah. Working our way down.
Working our way straight to the bottom.